comic book fans everywhere. You are now listening to the official Crossover Comics Podcast with your hosts at JJ's Comic Stuff and at Longbox Entertainment.
What is going on, everybody? You are listening to the Crossover Comics Podcast. My name is Jeremy. I am here with my co-host Michael, as always. And today we are talking the Batman animated series from 1992. And here to help us talk about that series is iambatman915 from TikTok. What is up, my guy?
Man, what's up, guys? It's such a good feeling to be a part of this because obviously I know you guys. It's real positive, and let's get into this.
Yes. So we're gonna be out here because this year marks the 30th anniversary of BTAS. Ah man, this is crazy. Actually, I want to start off with a question. Do y'all remember the first time you ever experienced Batman the Animated Series?
Not specifically. I do remember being in my room when I was probably, I don't know, 8, maybe
Mhm.
7, playing with like the big plastic Batmobile toys and watching the show at the same time. So it was, yeah, that I don't remember when exactly that was, and I don't remember what
Mhm.
episode it was, but I was playing with the toys at the same time I was watching the show. That is like my earliest memories of that show.
Man, if I had to be
Fire.
realistic, the earliest memory of me watching that show was the origin of me being a nerd as I am today. I remember the very first episode I watched was Bane, and I was like, "What is this? This is so cool." It was nothing like what we would watch like way back
Hmm.
then,
Right.
the early '90s cartoons. It was so gritty and dark, but it had like a little bit of light in there and a little bit of hope. But it was really fun to watch. I didn't know what it was, but I was like, you know what? I want to watch this. I want to watch. I was really poor, so I would watch it from my house. I would look through the window to watch it to my neighbor's house because I didn't have a TV growing up. And I was like, dude, I don't know what this is, but it's so cool. And eventually, when we got a TV, I'd watch it 24 whenever I could. Boom, boom. I'd wake up early. I don't
Right.
care.
Right. I remember. So my time, cause I was born in '98, so of course I missed the original like run of it. Uh, but I remember Toonami used to play episodes,
Hmm.
and I remember me and my grandfather we would watch episodes of Batman the Animated Series. That was like our little bonding time. And I remember I had these VHS tapes that I have like a couple episodes. I remember I had a Poison Ivy one, which is probably the reason why I love Poison Ivy so much. And I had a Two Face one, and as y'all know, Two Face is my favorite Batman villain. So I guess that kind of made me like the type of Batman fan I am today. But yeah, man, that's my first memory. The crazy thing about this show, it was very revolutionary for the
Oh
time.
yeah. Oh yeah.
100%.
Especially
This
like
was the darkest like kids show at
and
the
it's
time
true because
for
they had a lot
sure.
of rules and regulations where they got away with only because Batman was doing so good because of the blockbuster film, obviously Batman.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And like that's why Robin was a little bit older because they couldn't show a child in danger because of the regulations back then.
Right, because he was in college in
Hmm.
in the in the show.
Yep.
Makes sense. Makes sense. I always thought it was crazy, like how they actually had guns being fired, like actual
All the
guns
time,
with
like every
There
bullets.
was
episode.
every episode exactly. No
Yes.
other cartoon had that. None. Zero. You can go look. None of them had it.
Like once in a
Yes.
while, there'd be like a super crazy episode where they'd have to run away from people shooting at them, but you would rarely even see the bullets ricochet off of anything.
True. True. And then the thing I thought like was cool, you would see Batman get hurt and you would see like the blood and stuff. Like
Hmm.
this show was pretty crazy, like for that time.
Yeah, you would never see blood in like earlier cartoons, especially like '90s base was all bright colors and happy vibes. Where
Hmm.
this one was dark and brooding. Even the sky in the background, if you ever watch like the
Hmm.
original series was red because they wanted a
Right.
grittier type of background. And in case you didn't
Hmm.
know, the whole intro is actually the first episode they ever aired. that did so well, and that's why they made it the intro.
Oh yes, that's right. That's right. That's right. Because they
It was a
had like a
pilot.
little the pilot.
Hmm.
It was like a little sizzle reel to show Warner Brothers what they could do with it.
Yep, and in the
Uh,
beginning, like that pilot episode's intro, I believe, was just music. There was no like
Yeah, there was no
"I
commentary or
am
nothing.
Batman" at
right.
the end. You know,
The thing I always think was crazy about the intro, it never has the words Batman on it. It's
You
like
just
you
knew.
just
You
know
just
what it
knew.
is, man.
Hmm.
Like you know it's Batman.
when you make a show as
And
well as they did, you don't have to tell people what it is. It
I
literally
mean, because
speaks for itself. Just look at
and
it.
you're
It's
you're right
Batman.
on that,
Like
because all the
true.
other shows during that time were like X-Men. X-Men was a really popular show back
hmm
then.
Spider-Man the
Spider-Man was a
animated
really big
series.
show. I knew you were going to say
True.
Spider. Yeah, there's a
True.
lot of good shows coming out. Batman was the only one that had no words, no introduction. It was just like you either get it or you don't.
And
Right.
it was pretty hard
Right.
not to get it.
Right.
Yeah,
And they
around
did their
that time.
thing. They did their thing because like even the look of the show is different from like any other cartoon at the time. Especially, I love how one of the creators of the series, Eric Radomski,
Mhm,
how he would say they drew on black paper
with pepper,
hmm
with
pepper,
pepper to make the
yes,
grain.
to make the grade, so that because they just wanted Gotham to look dirty. They wanted Gotham to look dirty.
And
They
they
just wanted it to look dark.
nailed that
Oh,
Yes, yes,
it was such an
yes.
because it
interesting
did
idea
everything
how they
looked
did
like it
that.
had a texture to it.
Hmm.
It may not
Hmm.
have been super well defined given the animation limitations back then, but it was always like you could tell, like, okay, they're in a sewer, or okay, they're in an alley that has not been cleaned in probably decades. Like,
Right.
And
True. And I think another thing, those character designs, man, like some of them. When I think of some of these characters, it's the BTAS versions that pop into my head.
mhm,
hmm
Like having Batman with that really square jawline and,
mhm.
you know,
very small
like
crown of the head.
Robin.
Like,
See, I
Yes.
I love the fact that you bring that up because Batman the Animated Series would do this thing where they would grab characters that are already created and flip their origin and put it on display for newer and incoming
Hmm.
Bat fans because nobody knew who Mr. Ice or Mr. Freeze was, and then they
Hmm.
retold his whole origin, like the origin that everyone knows with Nora being frozen and him doing what he can for love. That's not his origin. That's from Batman the Animated Series, which I always thought was really interesting. But
Hmm.
everybody to this day only knows that origin because of the Batman animated series.
And you
hmm
know what? Actually, speaking on that, Batman the animated series is responsible for a lot of stuff that we have in comics today, whether it be Mr. Freeze's origin, Harley Quinn, the
Red
character
Claw.
Lockup,
I
Red
was gonna say,
Claw.
I
Yes,
was just about to say, I've got a list right here. The show gave us the first appearance of Harley Quinn, Detective Renee Montoya, Lockup,
yes,
Renee.
Simon Trent, Condiment King, Coyote Ken. We also had Roland Daggett, Red Claw, Lloyd Ventrick, Sewer King, Boss Biggest, Grant Walker, Hardak, and Emil Dorian. I mean, that is a
yes.
lot of new characters in one show, and they
Oh
only
Yes.
went for
yeah.
4 seasons.
And a lot of them are now in the comics, man. Like that is
Hmm.
so crazy to me.
Renee Montoya is the question now, correct?
The question,
Hmm.
hmm So not
actually,
only did Renee get, boosted like Harley Quinn did because of the show, but also she got her own comic out of it pretty much.
Hmm.
Like she
yeah.
became a whole other character in a whole other situation.
Mhm. And right now, she's the commissioner
Hmm.
of
Oh yeah.
the GCPD.
So
Like, and
yeah.
that character is skyrocketed. You know. Uh,
And I mean, we don't even have to say what happened with Harley Quinn. Like they created
Oh
that character
yeah.
solely for the show, and it
yes.
exploded.
She was
Yes.
only supposed to be for that one episode, but the people that were writing in told them that they liked her so much, so they just like, you know what, let's keep going. And I love. I know this is off topic a little bit, but it is. I love the fact that Batman animated series, every voice actor would come together and all work together for every show. Not one or
Yes,
one or one, everyone.
yes. Because you can really tell, like, the voice acting in that show, it doesn't sound like it's being voice acted. It just sounds like it's being acted out, and
Hmm.
they're just capturing, the audio from that. And I think that's why it sounds so authentic, and I just love that.
Well, and I think a lot of that has to do with some of the voice actors they had too. I mean, you've got Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill, Bob Hastings as James Gordon,
Yes.
Ephraim
Top
Zimbalist.
tier.
Like you've got top tier. Like some of these guys were Shakespearean actors in their
Oh,
prime.
and and it's
I mean,
true.
True.
you've y-
That is
it's
true.
it just keeps going. There's like literally a list of like
There's
65
like,
different actors that all played main
yeah, I only know
characters
like
in that
maybe
show.
15, but there's a lot.
Hey,
I
you know
mean,
what's
we want to
crazy?
keep
Those
going. There's
voice
Richard Mole, who
actors.
played Two Face. You've got
Hmm.
Zatara, who
Mhm.
was played by Vincent Schiavelli. I mean, like seriously,
Yeah, yeah.
like
And
I could keep going. Like
those voice actors are
Michael
so
Ansara,
good.
Mr. Freeze. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Oh, a chilling performance, if you ask me.
I love Mr. Freeze in that show. Beautiful, beautiful. Heart
Oh
of
man.
Ice, beautiful.
And you know the crazy thing about that Mr. Freeze, because a lot of people, one of the biggest gripes about Mr. Freeze in the Batman and Robin movie was the ice puns,
The
right?
puns.
But I'm like, B-Taz's Mr. Freeze, he had puns as
He had
well.
puns.
It was
He
all
was
about
more
the
serious.
delivery.
I think. Yeah, it was a
Yes.
delivery.
The delivery was
It was
amazing.
much more
Like,
of a serious tone when he would say them in the show rather than when he
Mhm.
said them in the movie. It was definitely made to make you laugh almost.
Oh
Like
yeah.
exactly. Exactly. And to this day, like these voice actors, these are the voices I hear in my head
When you read them,
when I
right?
am reading.
Hmm.
Yes.
I mean, it's really
Like
Speaking of
hard
Rashad
not to
voice,
Poole,
read something with the
the voice
Joker and
actor of
not hear
Rashad
Mark
Poole,
Hamill.
I always hear him.
oh yeah,
Mark
I can't
Hamill,
hear
yes.
anybody else. I can't.
Because for me, I was born in 1990. Mark Hamill was my first Joker. I
Oh
didn't
yeah.
see Jack
Luke
Nicholson's Joker
Skywalker,
or Cesar Romero's
Joker.
Joker until before that, or until way
Yeah.
later when I was a little bit older.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Mark Hamill had that
S-
gift. He really did. That man.
I
He
mean,
he
and he can
because
switch it on like that. Like
Right.
if you've
well
ever
because
seen him at a con or anything, like he can literally
oh
jump
yeah.
into the Joker voice immediately. Like
So
Hmm.
I'm bad with names, but originally the Joker was gonna be voiced by the guy who we know as the original It.
Oh, Tim Curry.
mm,
Yes,
yep,
but they said
Tim
his voice
Curry.
was
Yeah.
too scary, so then they had Mark Hamill try, and he hit that perfectly. That
because they wanted
and
scary, but they wanted funny scary. They didn't
mhm,
want
True.
like sadistic
because it was a
scary,
kids
which is
show,
what
yeah.
Tim Curry brings to a lot of stuff.
And then Kevin Conroy initially wasn't gonna be Batman. He was trying for what's his name, Bullock.
Bullock.
Yeah,
He was trying for
Wow.
Bullock,
Yeah.
and
Bullock.
they loved his voice. They were like, "Hey, can you read this?" And he read some Batman lines, and they're like, "Can you give it a little darker?" And when he did it, they're like, "Boom, you're Batman. Don't worry about it. You're Batman." But
That's
they made the right
crazy.
choice.
That's crazy. I always the funny thing about the whole Tim Curry situation, because supposedly they still have audio of Tim Curry's laugh, and supposedly you can hear it in one episode. It was like one of the robots or something,
I heard
or like
this. I've
you
never
heard
caught it
that.
though.
I've never caught it either. Maybe I just haven't like paid attention to it enough. But
I
yeah.
feel like you would have to adjust your settings in the audio for you to like
Hmm.
dim down what they add so you could hear his original laugh.
Right. 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 And
But if
then
we're talking about episodes, I know you want to add on to this. If you want to go first, long box, that's fine.
oh, episode. Oh yeah, we're gonna get to episodes. Oh
I'm
yes, we're
I'm
definitely gonna talk
everywhere with
episodes
them.
because I've been rewatching Batman the animated series because that would kind of like spark this whole idea because I was watching it and then the 30th anniversary hit and I was like, oh, this is a sign. I immediately message JJ. I was like, I know the idea for our next episode, bro.
It's 30 years. 30 years. I mean, because in my head, subconsciously, I was like, that's 30 years Harley Quinn. But at the same time, I'm like, that means it's 30 years for the Batman animated TV show, because obviously
Hmm.
that's when she first
Right.
appeared. Man, that's
Yeah,
Man,
it's
crazy.
so
30
crazy.
years.
What's even
30
crazier
years.
is that I'm 2 years older than the show.
I turn 30 next month, so that's in my head. I'm like 30 years.
Well, I'm a youngin. uh, I'm only I'm only 5 years younger than the show, so it's not that far off,
No,
That's
that's
not
not
too
that
bad.
far off. Like you
But
said, you remember like the tail end of it being on TV while it was on Toonami and stuff
yeah,
like
yeah,
that. So
yeah.
you're not
I
that
caught the
far
tail end.
off. Because
But
it was, I
it was
remember
mostly
watching
the
it on a WB network, but that was way back. That
Whew,
was back
most of
WB, I
before it was
remember
the
the
that.
CW. You know what I'm saying? That was back
I
when
remember that.
that we could do a whole other episode just on old shows from that.
Freakazoid was my joint. I remember that.
right. Actually, most of the episodes I caught like on TV were the new Batman Adventures episodes where
Like
the
season 3, right?
animation was revamped.
It was slightly
So
updated, and then they had that was the one where Robin was featured much heavier.
yes, it was Tim Drake's
Eh,
Robin at the
Tim
time.
Drake,
Yeah.
Batgirl, the new
Well, because in
Bane
the comics they
version.
were fresh off of killing off Jason Todd around that time. So
Yes, which is funny because Paul Dini has said that he wanted to do Jason Todd,
Hmm.
but WB was just like, no.
well, because
Like,
they knew where that storyline eventually had to go, and they're like, "You're
Yeah,
not doing that on TV,
not on a kid
right.
show.
not
And
on a
it's
kids
funny.
show."
It's very funny when you think about Tim Drake in that show, because basically Tim Drake was Jason Todd. Like they changed
He
his
was.
origin. You
His
know?
origin fit Jason Todd to a point, to exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, come
So
on, that's
it basically
Jason.
was Jason Todd without it being Jason Todd.
And I thought
Basically.
that
That's
was
how they
always
got away with
interesting.
it.
Yeah, it was
And
Jason,
then,
but they named him Tim.
Because let's be
even
honest,
the
they were
Joker
not going to
did
allow
something
that
crazy to
crowbar
him.
scene to go down on
Hmm.
TV.
So even in because he even had a dark end to his Robin story, because the
Oh yeah,
Joker and what happened in Batman Beyond. So it's like,
Return the
Yeah, that
Joker.
is another thing. Like back then, you didn't have a lot of shows tying into each other.
yes, yeah, you're right.
Not the way those ones did. Like all three of those series, you could basically call them a trilogy if they were made in movies.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah,
Because it went
you
Batman
can.
animated series, Batman New Adventures, and that was Robin, and he's got and then Batman Beyond, like you said, Bruce is too old. You got Terry McGinnis that comes in, and then you've got
Hmm.
Tim Drake who ends up becoming basically the Joker.
Yeah, yeah,
You're right.
and it's like the fact this series
And
means
they're all
so
the same
much.
characters. They mention each other's like what happens in those series. Like there's a lot of callbacks,
Hmm.
and they didn't do that a whole lot back then.
Oh
True.
yeah,
And then you
no.
got to think
The only
about
show I can
when
think
they
about
did
that was doing that
Superman.
back then was Star Trek, because they had like
Yeah,
3 or series or something, and they always called back to what was going on in the other series and whatnot. But
yeah, true that. Like even like when they did Superman and you had the Batman episodes when they would team up on there, or like Justice League. Like because of this show, we would have if we didn't have this show, we would have never got Justice League.
See, and you're fully correct on that.
Yeah.
because Batman was the first show that DC put out that actually did really well.
Hmm.
Well, because the Batman movie did so well, so they were like, you know what? Let's try a show. Let's do a kids show. Get
Well,
more
because
kids
if
into
you
the
make a kids
comics.
show, you got toys, and we all know the
Hmm.
'90s was
True
about the
that.
toy game.
All about them toys, man. All about them toys.
I mean, even
Man,
the '80s and '90s, any kids show was completely geared to make toys out of it.
true
Oh
that. I
yeah, those toys
remember
are cool too.
I had some action figures from BTAS, but I've never had like a regular Batman. It would be like a Batman and he had like a green costume or
Different
something.
suit,
Or he
yeah.
had
It's
like
because the original
armor,
one was
or
so hard to find.
Yeah.
because collectors were eating those up even back then. It
Collectors,
just wasn't it
kids,
it just
everyone.
wasn't as prevalent as it is now, where you've got like they'll make a line of toys for kids and then they'll make the collector's line of toys for adults
Facts.
that dudes be using for
Facts.
like figure photography or just collecting in general or whatever. They get the rare ones and flip them.
Facts, man. Whew, this show, man. I tell you. But I guess this is a good segue into our next point, are episodes themselves. Like, what are your favorite episodes, or certain episodes that you remember, or anything like that?
Oh,
There's
I'm gonna
so
have to
many.
think for
There's
a
so many
second.
good ones.
There
Nothing
are.
to Fear was the first appearance of Scarecrow. Bane,
Oh
obviously
yeah,
Bane.
yeah, yeah.
Almost Got Him has all the villains with their storytelling.
Oh yes,
Um,
and
I
he was
think
playing
that was
poker.
probably one of my
mhm.
favorite episodes, just because you got to see a lot of the behind the scenes of what the villains are doing. Like
Mhm.
Hmm.
that kind of stuff's always interesting to me because you always see what the heroes are doing when they're not fighting, but you never get to see what the villains are really doing.
True.
Man, it's
True
because there's
that.
so many good ones. Even Mudslide, the one with Clayface, part one and part two, beautiful.
Yes.
Mm,
Yes. Yes. Or
Honestly,
the
even the Condiment Man
Heart of
episode was
Ice.
good.
Heart of Ice is classic. Like
Heart of
it's
Ice, man.
you can't go wrong
We
with that episode.
um One of my favorite episodes is actually There's No Hope for Crime Alley.
Oh, that one's a good one
Mm.
too.
Oh man.
There's so many good ones,
Just
man.
seeing Leslie Tompkins, it's amazing.
Obviously what was that one called? Man Bat is on Leather Wings, I believe.
Yes, on Leather
Mm,
Wings.
man, there's so many
See,
good
that's
ones.
another character that we don't get to see much, and we only really saw a whole lot of in Batman the Animated Series was Man Bat.
Man Bat, he showed up like only like
True.
three times. Also,
Yeah.
Christmas with the
I like the
Joker is the
episode when
whole
his
reason
wife
we have that
becomes the
song.
man bat.
Christmas with the Joker was amazing.
It's a classic episode. That's
That's
where we
that's
got
got to be my all-time
Jingle
favorite
Bells,
episode.
Batman Smells. That's where it comes from.
True. True
That's
that.
got to be my
But
all-time favorite episode because do you know how hard
What?
that song went when I was in elementary school? Like, bro,
He said, "You know how hard it went."
it was a banger. It was a certified banger.
bro, the playground, everybody was
Oh,
singing that
Had the
all
playground
the
turnt
time. Like
going.
right before and right after Christmas break, it was done for. The teachers hated us by the time it was time to go on winter break.
well, because
Man, I can believe it.
initially, if you watch it anywhere, it's the first episode. But if you buy the DVD, it's the second episode.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But that episode's a classic. I mean, come on, Christmas
Yeah,
and the
HBO
Joker, like.
Max got its own little order. I don't know what they're doing on the
Mhm.
streaming service. Just know, if any of our viewers or listeners, just know, if you watch Batman the Animated Series on HBO Max, it is out of order.
Yeah, it is
So
out of order. It's
keep
so
that in
frustrating.
mind.
Why
It's
would they
so
do
annoying.
that? That's like when they
Look,
put a show on Netflix and only put seasons 2 through 6, and they leave
bro.
out seasons 1 and 8. Like,
I mean, it has all the episodes. It's just out of order.
Beware of Grey
that's
Ghost. That's
crazy.
the one I was thinking of. That one's good
That's the best
too.
episode, man. You had Adam West come back to play the
Adam
Grey Ghost.
West. Adam West.
I
Goat.
forgot about Adam West coming back in that
Hmm.
episode.
Yeah. And he was playing an
Man.
actor that pretty much his career went to shit.
Hmm.
Which is
He was
pretty
basically
much what
playing
happened to
himself.
him.
He played
Yeah,
Yeah,
himself.
he was playing
because
But it
after
was
himself.
he played
that's why
Batman,
he
he
did it
couldn't
so
get any
well.
serious roles for a long time.
Mad as a
Hmm.
Hatter with Mad Hatter. That one was dope.
Mad Hatter was always
Oh
an
yeah.
underrated villain, I
He's
thought.
super underrated
Oh,
villain because he
speaking of
can
Mad
mind
Hatter,
control.
pretends to dream. Pretends
Ooh.
to
Ooh,
dream where Batman, he wakes up, but he's in a world where he's about to get married to Selena Kyle, and his parents are
Hmm.
still alive, and then find out
God,
it's
the
all because
pain.
of Mad Hatter. Oh, dude, so good,
God.
so good.
You know which one I really liked? Speaking of, because Two Face, Robin's Reckoning.
Yes,
mm,
yes, yes.
Because
Tony
a lot of people don't
Zuko
know
and
that Two Face is the reason for Robin's dead parents, and a lot of people don't understand that. And I'm like, dude, he's
Yeah, because
That's
it
why they're
actually,
enemies.
um, it wasn't Batman and Robin. It was,
Batman Forever.
yeah,
Batman
Batman
Forever.
But
Forever,
King, I
where
think
they
I think you're
show
talking
that. They
about
actually
Tim Drake,
show how
right? The Tim
Two-Face
Drake
Mhm.
ended up.
episode, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
That
yeah,
was
in that
called
movie,
Sins
they
of a
did show
Father.
Robin's
Sins of the
origin, which
Father.
is crazy.
Yeah, that was called Sins of the Father. The one, the Robin's Reckoning, that was the Dick Grayson origin
The
with
Dick
Tony Zuko.
Grayson. Yeah. Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Joker's
but I
Wild is a
understood
good
what you were
one.
saying. Oh
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
with the
Joker's
casino.
Wild.
Oh, I forgot all about that one too.
Honestly, the Two Face origin
That was the one
episodes.
with the roulette table trap, wasn't
It
it?
was.
Uh,
I,
if I
I
can
can't remember.
I
remember,
There's so
remember
many of
some
them.
kind of casino like big trap thing that him and Robin
that
got
was
stuck on.
Joker's Wild. That
It
was
was
Joker's
Joker's
Okay.
Wild.
Wild. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man, so many good episodes.
I love the
Like,
fact that the whole quote that we all know and love from Batman, it's like, "I am vengeance, I am the night, I am Batman." That's from the Scarecrow episode from
yeah,
season 2,
Yep.
and I was like,
wasn't it Nothing to Fear?
"Nothing to fear" is the episode.
And that's when they finally started using it in the intro, and it is after that episode aired.
Well, actually, okay, so season 1, 2, and 3 are Batman the animated series, and after that, like Batman Adventures, depending
Oh,
on
okay,
where you
got
watch
you.
it, obviously, because the
Yeah.
DVDs and HBO Max, they're both different, and it's
I mean, it
frustrating.
still counts as it's still like the same show, like because the new Batman Adventures or whatever they called it, Batman Adventures, whatever. Those were good. Like those were solid episodes. I know some people didn't like the revamp animation, like especially the
Hmm.
Joker, because he didn't have his red lips, and that was kind of
Oh
weird.
yeah, I kind of threw me off for the longest time, but I eventually I was like, okay, it's the same
Eventually,
voice
I
actor,
actually
I'm
ended up
okay.
liking that better, just because it made him look a little bit more serious.
I can understand that. I can understand
Yeah,
that.
I didn't
He
hate
did
it.
look
It was
creepy,
different.
and then
Like
the
I don't
whole
like the whole anarchist type Joker that they portray in the Dark Knight movie. Just
Hmm.
like, not saying Heath Ledger didn't do a fantastic, outstanding job in that role,
Mhm.
but my favorite Joker is just the one that wants to play with Batman,
yes, and that should be
and
the point.
that's Mark Hamill, and that.
Yeah, that's what that and that's what Batman. That's what the Joker should be to Batman.
Hmm.
Like he just does things because he just wants to mess with him.
He wants to mess with Batman. He wants to test Batman. He wants to. I don't feel like he's the type. Don't get me wrong. His IQ is high, but I don't feel like he's the person to go out and make all these plans for Batman. He's like, nah, I'm gonna mess with him. I don't care what it is. I'm gonna mess with him.
He
True.
plans out like 2 or 3 steps ahead, and that's about it.
Hmm. That's it. Yeah,
After that,
exactly.
he's like, that's one thing they did get
Guns,
right in
matches.
Dark Knight, which is where they said, I don't know what I would do with it if I caught it. Like
He just
that's
wants
kind
it.
Yeah,
of
true.
how the Joker has always been. Like, I don't know what I'm actually gonna do with you if I ever do catch you. I
That is true. That is
just
true.
like trying.
So, actually, speaking of like how the comics and how this show really, it was really the comics. Like it felt like Bronze Age Batman comics brought
Hmm.
to life, um, with a little bit of the post crisis era like mixed in. But have y'all ever read like the Batman Adventures like comic book series?
Hmm. I have those.
I have not,
Those are really really good.
They
because
honestly
those are the
are,
ones
and
that
I feel
are
like people
like
don't talk about
almost.
them enough.
Those are the
They
ones that are
don't.
spun
Well,
directly out of the show, right?
yes, mostly
Oh yeah,
because DC doesn't reprint those things. I don't know why.
yeah. That's why I got them quick. I was like, I have to get these.
But yeah, those comics are like really really good. I love how it fleshes out like the world a little bit more, especially when it
Hmm.
comes to Barbara Gordon and Dick Grayson with their relationship.
Yes,
Okay.
Uh,
that was interesting. I didn't agree with what comes after, but
not
I
what
like
comes
that.
after. I
Yeah.
that's not what comes after, but the initial. Because I liked how they went to the same college
Mhm.
and they would bicker. Like Dick Grayson and Barbara Gordon, they wouldn't get along.
Oh
But
no, not at
when
first.
they were Batgirl and Robin, they would be flirting with each other
Hmm.
because they didn't know,
Who was who?
each other's identities. Um,
Which has got to be somewhat of like that's got to be almost like a schizophrenic type tendency to
right,
be able
right.
to like not tell the person like I'm sorry, but if you're spending that much time with somebody, even if they got masks on and don't know each other's true identity, you really can't tell
That's
that the same person you're going to class with is the same person you just jumped off a building with the night before. Like, come on.
right. Like you don't see that red hair coming out of her cowl.
Come on.
Right.
Like, come on, Grayson, come on,
That's
man.
that's that's some serious compartmentalization right there, man. Like there's
Facts
secret
for
agents
that.
who can't compartmentalize that good.
Facts, true that. And then I remember me and Batman, we was actually talking about the holiday special
Oh, I
issue.
love that one. I have that one.
That issue is amazing.
It's up
Like
there.
I don't want to
It's so
spoil it
well
for you,
written.
JJ, but if you
Oh,
got
dude,
DC
you know how
Universe
hard it's going to
on it,
be for me to track those down because I
I
do
mean,
not
you can
have DC Universe right now.
ah man, but yeah, if you ever get DC Universe, just read that story. It's so good.
I might
It's a
have to
good,
soon because I've pretty much quit buying DC single issues at this point.
yeah, it's really good for it being like an animated type of vibe, and it's looking straight
Hmm.
off of the animated series. It does really well with connecting with Mr. Freeze and Batman and a little bit of emotional, but it's really good. And it's
But see, I
not the
like
fact,
comics that if they're based off the show, I almost want them to look like the show.
oh, it's like identical.
It's identical.
You
Perfect.
know, like because with
Like,
there's a new one that just came out this past week, Star Trek Lower Decks looks exactly like the show in the comic book. Like it's
like
identical.
if you could, let me see. Basically, it's the show. Yeah,
Okay, yeah, that's dope.
It's the show.
and this is actually so for our listeners, not really our watchers, but they actually have continued Batman the animated series, and it's from this new line of comic books called Batman the Adventures Continue. And the thing I love about it, the fact that they don't call it um, volume one or volume two. It's like they call it season one and then season two. So those are actually really cool. But yeah, I just think these books are actually really good, and I think people should check them out. And they also brought Jason Todd within the animated series universe.
Really? Okay, I need to get a hold of
Yes.
those.
That's my favorite thing about that. Yes, my favorite. Because I feel like with Jason, they normally, for the animated series, they brushed him off and put Tim there with Jason's origin. And they were just like, we don't have to worry about Jason. But the fact that the show did so well, and then they started making comics, they were like, you know what? I
Right.
feel
Right.
like now
Oh, and they also
we
brought
can sneak him in
Deathstroke.
here.
So this is the first time you see Deathstroke um, in this universe. The Court of
Hmm.
Owls get brought
In the animated
in.
series, yep.
Like
Okay.
they went hard with these.
Oh,
Like you guys know, I'm
yes.
definitely grew up a Marvel
A
kid, and then
lot,
nowadays
a
it's like a
lot
lot
of
of indie
villains were
stuff. So
introduced.
DC, I am so far behind in reading DC stuff. It's insane.
Hmm.
You know me. I'm a DC. I just love DC. I don't know why. I do like Marvel, but
I mean, I like collecting.
right
I like reading both, but I only collect Batman.
because I
Yeah. People are like, "Oh, you just read Batman." I was like, "No, I read Spider Man. I like Fantastic Four." They're like,
That's what
"What?" I'm
people don't
like, "Yeah,
realize. Like you can
Doctor
read stuff
Doom,
without
Moon
actually
Knights.
collecting
I
it.
don't mind."
Like
true.
Exactly. Don't get me wrong. I used
right.
to collect
Like
everything
I still
before, and I
spend
was just
way too
broke all
much
the
money
time.
on
So I was like, you know
comics,
what? I'm just gonna
probably,
collect Batman.
but like I've cut it way down from when I first started buying them again. because I was literally
Man,
just
that's
pre-ordering
why.
everything. I didn't care what it was at first for a while. I was just pre-ordering everything, and I was spending like $200 a week for a minute. And I'm like, yeah, I can't do this.
Man, that's why I stick to collected editions. Like I still buy singles, of course, just not as much. Like my pull list only has like 5 books on it.
Yeah, nowadays I've got it down to like 6 or 7, and then maybe I'll grab a couple other
That's
things I see
crazy.
off the shelf that I didn't have on my
Yeah.
pool. But
Nah, every week I'm like 20 to 30
Can't be
books I
me.
have to get.
Can't be me.
once we start getting some sponsors for the podcast, then
Right,
then we can
right,
start
right,
buying more stuff. But
right.
speaking of, I'm going to take this
So
opportunity to say we are
Ooh.
accepting sponsors at this time. So if you're interested, please get in touch with us here at Crossover Comics Podcast. Boom, quick plug. How you like that?
I love that. That actually sounded very professional. I really like that. That
I
was
have my
good.
moments.
That was very professional. I forgot I was on a podcast. I
I
thought I
have
was
That
my
watching
moments.
natural
television.
like
I was like,
radio voice, man. Yeah.
I'm telling you, he
Oh
has a
man.
radio
So
voice. Speaking of voices, I know I'm just gonna throw that in. I feel like Harley Quinn, the voice
Harleen
actor, did
Sorkin,
such a
I think that's her
perfect
name.
job on her. That voice
I
is
mean,
all I hear
she
every time I read
is
Harley.
Harley Quinn.
I
That's
can't
who
hear anybody
Paul
else.
Dini based the character off of. Like she she's Harley.
Hmm. Hmm. She's Harley. I don't care what it's because other people are like, oh, I
Do
really
you
like
really like
Margot
Margot
Robbie's
Robbie's
voice. And I'm
voice,
like,
or do you just
eh.
really like Margot Robbie? Like,
Or do you-
Right. That's what it is.
exactly. Or,
That's what it
or is this
is.
really late? That's what I tell people because I'm like, no, like Harleen
it's
Quinzel,
literally
Harley
based
Quinn.
off the voice
That's
actress that
her. All
plays
right,
her.
nobody
So
else. I don't want to hear no.
Harley, and there's actually
Exactly.
now I feel like most people who
because
have played Harley have
supposedly
done great jobs. Like, I don't think there's a bad Harley Quinn voice actor out there so far.
there's not.
Oh yeah.
I don't think there
But
is. No, there's
because
not.
and Margot Robbie
No.
did great as Harley Quinn, but you're not ever gonna beat out the original on that one.
Cause who's the voice actress on the HBO
Speaking of
Max
Harley,
show, the Harley Quinn show?
Uh,
Cause she's
um,
good. She does a good job as well.
we need a Jamie.
oh,
Her name is like Kaylee. Cause she was in the Big Bang Theory. She played Penny.
I know. I
Can't
cannot
remember her
remember
name.
her name.
mhm.
She
It's
played Penny.
Kaylee something.
Kelly Cuoco. Cuoco.
There we go. That sounds about right.
Mm,
I always
That
mess her
sounds
last
right.
name up, but I knew it was
sounds right.
somewhere like that.
Another thing was crazy. Like the Beats has also started the Harley Quinn and like Poison Ivy, relationship. Yeah.
Uh-huh. The relationship after
Mhm.
after Joker and her started fighting, it was Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy, and then obviously the last episode
Yeah.
was
Mad
Mad Love. Just
Love.
throwing that out there.
Goaded.
Had to get that one
Just for me.
PGC'd
I love
just
it.
for
I
just for
love it.
long bucks. Man, that episode is so good, and I'm surprised they
Hmm.
aired it because of all the like abuse and stuff they had in it. I was really
Crazy. Like
shocked
the
they had
Joker
that. I was like,
pushes her
oh,
out of a window
Mm,
at the end of the episode.
he he
that's why I
he
don't
beats her and
understand
kicks her
the
out of
people
a
out there that
window.
are like, I want a Harley Quinn and Joker relationship. Like, do you though?
It's because they
Do
watch
you
Suicide
really?
Squad.
Even that, he pushed her out of a damn helicopter. Like,
Look,
Yeah. To be fair, I feel like what they mean is they want that intense feeling for somebody,
I was
but
gonna
I don't
say,
think they
like, have
fully
y'all
comprehend
watched
the
that show
intensity
or
of
read
their
these
relationship.
comics? Like, that is one of the most abusive relationships in comics.
Yeah, that's what. And you're 100% right. I tell people all the time, in case you didn't know, Joker has a pit of deceased Harley Quinns who would not do what he said, so he chained them up and left them there.
Yeah.
There's been tons of Harley Quinns, but
Yeah.
we only know one.
He is
So
one
yeah, the next
sick
time
bastard.
that our listeners decide they want that relationship, y'all might want to think twice.
Yeah. Research. Read
Research
a
is a
book.
powerful
Please.
thing, man.
It's not ideal.
Read a book.
I think that's the hardest thing for when I talk to people, especially about comics or comic criteria. It's always like what JJ was saying. It was like people want Joker and Harley Quinn relationship. I'm like, I don't think you truly want that. Joker gives her a knife and says, "If you love me, I need
Yeah,
you to cut
like,
off your
come
face."
on,
Yeah.
guys. Like, this is not the relationship you want.
That is not.
That's not
Bro,
not
I
a good
have a I
idea.
have a friend. Oh my gosh. She
Yeah.
doesn't read comics or whatnot, but she I don't know why she likes that god awful Suicide Squad movie. I don't know why. I guess different strokes for different folks,
Hey,
right?
I got a buddy who loved it too, so
And she's one of those they're goals. Ah, and I'm like, nah.
no.
And I know if she's watching this, yes, I'm talking about you. So yeah.
I don't think there was much low key
low key
about that
blasted her.
statement,
Low
man.
key.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's what we call putting somebody on blast. Like,
Oh man,
Man.
hey, at least I kept her name out. At least I kept her name out.
Mhm.
fair.
But
For now.
yeah, yeah, man, it's crazy. Like the things that BTAS did, you know, gave us Harley. We wouldn't even be talking about her if it wasn't for this show.
No, and then
It's
like
crazy.
there was movies that spun
Man.
off the
And
show
they
too.
have so much.
Yes, Mask of the Phantasm.
Mhm.
Probably the best animated Batman movie of all time.
Oh, I love that
Yep.
movie. I love that movie.
Sub Zero.
Yep.
Also, Batman, what
Mystery
is
of the
it? Sub
Batwoman.
Zero? That one's a good one too.
And then of course,
Oh, that
you
one's
know,
good too. I feel like personally, Batman the animated TV show started the
yeah,
DC animated universe because we got so many DC
And
movies,
none
the
of them would
animated
be
movies
even
now, and
in
all of them are
existence if
so
that show
good.
didn't do as well as it did.
yeah, exactly. Like all these
I'm
shows.
telling you. We got characters, movies, comics,
Top notch, dude.
everything.
Top
Even the
tier.
toys back then were just
Oh yeah.
up there.
It was
Everyone had a
probably
Batman
broken
toy.
and you didn't have the little missile launchers that came with it anymore, but you still had everything. Oh, they'd end up
Yes,
down like an
I would
air
always
vent,
lose
or
them,
they'd end
but
up
it doesn't
inside of
matter
the
as long as you have the
VCR or the
Batmobile.
game console, or, who knows.
It'd just be gone.
I put mine in the fish tank, believe it or not, because I thought it could turn into
Right.
like
So, okay.
a
I
little
think I
aqua
got a
boat or
segment
something.
that we
Just
could segue into. Speaking of spin-offs
it
from the
sank.
show, this is a good one to end the podcast
Uh
on.
oh.
The Caped Crusader animated series that was supposed to come out.
JJ, why you opening up wounds,
Ooh.
bro? Like,
Now, hang on, before
Yeah,
everybody
why are you
gets
putting salt
sad.
on wounds?
It has been said that it's still coming out.
okay, I hope. I
It's
hope.
just I
I
don't
hope. I
think it's
really do hope
coming
that's
out
true.
on HBO Max. I don't know where it's going. Maybe is what they're going to end up doing with it, but
Like straight
the
to
thing
DVD,
about it is
probably.
it's like it's pretty much the whole original cast. It's
Yeah,
like the original creators are working on this
Oh,
because
show.
Bruce
Like
that's
Tim
gonna
is
be
this,
involved, ain't it?
perfect.
yeah, and it's a prequel series to the original animated series.
Bruce Tim is.
Because Batman he looks
See,
like the
that's
Golden
gonna be
Age
so
Batman.
fire.
He's got the real long,
He got the real long ears. He got
Golden
yeah,
the
Age with the
short
purple gloves
purple gloves.
and
And I'm like, oh,
the
dude,
cowl. Yeah.
I can't wait. Like I want
Especially,
this
I
so
just bought
bad.
the facsimile issue for Detective Comics 27,
Yeah.
which is the first appearance of Batman. And so I'm just freshly reading, like fresh off reading, watching him
Mhm.
with the extra long ears, with the purple gloves, with the
Right.
black sedan that was just a black sedan before he had the Batmobile.
Yeah, yeah,
I'd
yeah.
be interested if they
It was
give
just a
him the
black
old black
sedan.
Cadillac like he had
Hmm.
in that original story,
Because
rather than a Batmobile.
I heard that the
Maybe.
animation is going to be similar to the short that they released from, I think it was Batman's 75th anniversary,
Hmm.
where it was the Strange Days and it was all in black and white. He went against
That
Hugo
I don't
Strange.
I don't know if they said it was going to be all black and
That would
white,
be
but I
pretty
know it was
cool.
going to be more of like a chromatic color tone for the show.
Like it was going to be that style. Like
Yeah,
that was a
yeah.
good taste of
Hmm.
like the style it was going to be. But yeah, I want it to happen. Like the fact that Bruce Timm has said that this was going to be Batman the animated series without any of the restrictions.
Hmm. It's because it's he said it's the Batman stories
Oh,
we
see, that right
wanted
there
to
gives me
do, but that they
chills.
wouldn't let us in the 90s.
Yeah.
See, and that's that right there is crazy because they let this show go on more than any other
Mhm.
show and do extra things and get away with these things because of the Batman movie that came out that did so well. They were like, you know what? I
Mhm.
guess we can have guns. I guess we can have kids in danger. I guess we can have abuse or drugs or
Mhm.
whatever they put in there, and they allowed it. It's wild. It's wild. Knowing it was so it did so well that it helped the show push all these boundaries, which helped a generation grow and become inspired by this, whatever you want to call, vigilante crime fighter. And we grew up with this character, seeing him overcome all these things and fighting these huge
Mhm.
foes that we've never heard of but became iconic in their own
It
way.
is.
And it's
It
a
is.
beautiful thing,
And
honestly. It
like
really is.
this show, like it means a lot to a lot of people. Like I remember when I met Kevin Conroy, just hearing his voice like in person, it was like, dude, like I'm actually talking to Batman right now, bro.
Okay, so
And dude, I almost wanted to. I was
Wait,
kind of
did you
shaking. I'm
cry?
not even gonna lie, I was shaking. Like my wife was like, "Are you okay?"
Damn.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I'm good.
upon a little bit of further research just now, it
Yes.
looks like
Oh,
it
look at me.
was Discovery's decision to drop the Caped Crusader show, so it will not be appearing on HBO or HBO Max, but it is being shopped around to other networks. So I'm sure
I
someone's
don't
going to pick it up. I'm going to put my money on probably Netflix.
Probably Netflix. Probably Netflix.
Mhm. Never,
Oh,
hey,
for
What
Netflix
if
is
sure,
gonna make
Disney
because
Plus?
a nice
What if
little
the
Disney
profit
Plus
off of
buys
that.
it?
Because
dude, there would
I know
be
people.
anarchy. There would be
Oh, don't
anarchy if
say
that
that.
happened.
Don't say that.
Another
Oh, bro.
possibility is
All we would
maybe
ever
Fox
get
would
is
pick it
Spider
up.
Man and Batman team up. That's all we would get
But
ever.
that's Disney, so it'd be on Hulu.
Ah, that's true. I don't know.
Can you
I don't
imagine?
know what they're
So
gonna do
Can
Disney
you
with it.
Disney
That's
could
imagine?
get some money.
but here this Discovery's reported reasoning for this is what baffles me. They said that they largely are trying to divest from kids and family related content. If you would look up what they said this show is supposed to be, you would realize really quick this is not a child friendly show that they're trying to make.
Yeah, it makes sense. Makes sense. Makes sense.
Oh yeah, it
I'm
shouldn't
so
be.
glad I'm
No.
an adult. You know how mad little me would have been that I couldn't watch a Batman show? Like, bro.
I mean, let's be honest, when we were little kids, there was not as much parental
Yeah,
Little
yeah.
control
log
over
box.
When
what
I
we
You
was
were
you were
short
watching.
short
box,
box back then.
boy,
You know, when we were
like
kids, there was not as much parental control over what we were watching. Like
that is true.
Oh yeah, and to be fair, that's the
video
reason why we have
games.
ratings today for shows, movies, games. Shit, that's why we have. Yeah, we have. we have censorship for almost everything now, but because of the stuff we saw
Mhm.
when we were younger, it kind of like developed and changed.
It's just
And
different
I mean,
now.
it's not a
That's all
bad
it
thing,
is.
but I mean, it's a lot different.
That is true. That is true.
Hmm.
But yeah,
But to be honest, it could be 30, 40, 50, 60, 80 years, and I'm still
Goated.
gonna watch
that's
this.
It's goated.
another thing
Like
about
Still
it.
gonna
Like
Batman.
watch
it's
this
one of
show.
those shows
That's
that
all I'm
actually
saying.
does age well. And there's not a lot of cartoons that age well.
Hmm.
That and Batman Beyond.
See,
I
and
will
that's
watch
funny.
these until anything.
Oh yeah, Terry
The
McGinnis is
biggest
up there.
difference with the animation on those, I felt like, was just it was much cleaner
That's funny too
looking
because I put on.
in Batman Beyond. Like everything was slick, everything was metallicized,
Oh
like
yeah.
metallicized, something like that.
New words. Look at here, Webster over here.
I know one of those
It's
words
all
is
right.
right. I
It's all right.
just, you know,
Nobody judging.
blame my high school.
English is
But
hard.
even when it's your own
It's
first
hard.
language,
It's
it's hard.
fine.
So
True that. True that. True that.
Oh yeah. It's crazy because like I'll try showing my oldest since he's 5 now, like cartoons from the 90s to see which one he likes. I tried X-Men.
there's a lot going on in the old X-Men show,
He
though.
was
I mean,
teeter
as far
tottering
as the
with them,
content goes, not necessarily even the
and I agree.
animation,
I
but
agree.
like
I
just the
honestly didn't
topics
even
that are
notice
discussed
till you
in that
rewatch them.
cartoon. It's very
Yeah.
much an adult
There's
or
And it
so
older
goes
much
fast
show.
too.
information. I was like,
Yes, it's very fast paced. A
yo.
little kid's brain is just like flashing lights and pretty colors. That's
See, and then I put on, yeah. You see all these mutants doing all this crazy stuff. You're like, oh, this is cool. I put on Batman. He
Oh,
I
instantly
would
loves
say
it,
we
just
can
from
we
the
no,
can
that
end
was a
intro.
this off
proud
talking
papa
about the
moment.
music from that show. That dude, the score from that
What was her
show
name?
was
Shirley.
fantastic.
What was the
I
composer's name? Her
love
name was Shirley.
beautiful.
Danny
Was it?
Elfman and
And
Shirley. I
I
can't
Shirley.
remember her last name.
it was that intro, that whole band setup that they had, whatever it was,
Hold
it
on.
hit so hard. I remember every time I'd hear that
It
on the
made you
TV,
want to
I would
run.
run.
It
I
was
don't
just
care
a
where I was.
dun
I'd run to
dun
the
dun
television.
dun 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 dun.
I'd run.
Dun.
Shirley Walker. Shirley
Shirley
Walker. That
Walker,
was her
there it
name.
is.
You get there and you see Batman squints
She
at the
killed
bad
that.
guys.
Because I
Yes,
knew Danny
there it
Elfman.
is.
He did the intro
Hmm.
music.
Man, that was beautiful.
But yeah, like, but even the music that wasn't in the intro, everything throughout each episode, it was just, it would set the tone perfectly for what was going on. They did not miss on that
Hmm.
show.
Hmm.
Dude,
The
everything.
lightning.
And Shirley really did her thing. Because Mask of the Phantasm was fully composed by her. Like,
Oh, hmm.
bro,
That one was good too.
Dude,
and
they don't make shows with that much attention to quality anymore. They just don't. Not
I feel like
animated
they don't.
shows.
Yeah.
With such raw emotion anymore. Man, I remember when Bruce is crying in
Oh
Like,
Homegirl's
yeah.
bro,
arms
yes,
because of
like
his dead parents.
it was one of the
Man,
deeper
I was like,
shows that
yo,
was on
this
TV at the
this
time
is
for sure.
different.
Oh no, the part in Mask of the Phantasm where he goes to his parents' graves and he says,
Hmm.
"I'm so sorry. I didn't
Grave. Oh,
expect to be
yes.
happy," because he was with Andrea at the time, bro.
Hmm. Yeah. He was saying sorry because he wanted to be Batman, but at the
Yeah,
same time he wasn't
Well, and
like
expecting
the
that
to
fact
that's
that
catch
he
like
was
feelings. And
apologizing for his happiness,
I
bro.
mean, it's a
that's an
sad
age old
show.
question though. Can Batman be
Tears.
Batman if he's happy?
No, it's sad.
No, the broodingness keeps him going because if you're sad, you really want to be like, yeah, I'm gonna go fuck some shit up tonight. No, no, you're gonna be like, you know what? Gotta stay, because a lot of people forget that Batman's motivation is way beyond most people or most beings that we know in comic books. Like if
True,
he's
true.
determined
And I
to do
think
it, he will do it.
I think the Scott Snyder run answered the question perfectly. Like when he after Endgame, where he lost his memories, he didn't have any of the trauma to be Batman.
Yes.
And of course, even Batman has a contingency for him losing his memory. And he had a machine. He had a machine that
Yep.
really
He
just
has several.
imbued all the trauma
Hmm.
back into him.
which is wild.
Yes.
That's so crazy how determined this man is. He says, if I forget, I have a machine to make me remember. If I go crazy or somebody takes over my mind, I have a contingency plan for me to think I am
Yeah.
Batman Zurael and I'm gonna fight whoever's
No
there.
contingencies, boy, I tell you.
That's a whole other podcast.
That man is crazy with his plan.
Bro, that could be a podcast all on its own. Like
That's what I'm saying,
Dude, well, yeah,
for sure.
whenever you want to talk about Batman,
uh
we'll get deep into Batman.
But I
Like
think
speaking
that
of
is
he
a
has
pretty. Oh,
millions of plans.
oh, I just want to say one last thing.
oh,
Like
okay, go
speaking of
ahead.
like how like Batman, like he has the contingencies and he's just so smart. I love the moment in Superman the animated series where he finds out that Clark Kent is Superman because he left a bat tracer on his cape and he's from the distance. Yes,
Oh yeah, and Superman gets into his apartment and was like, "What's this?" And he
with the
looks over and he
binoculars.
sees
Yep,
Batman
and he's
from
just like,
God knows how far away, and he's like, "Hmm,
That's yeah. That's probably his
oh,
slickest moment. It is for sure.
yes, yes,
gotta appreciate him. Gotta appreciate him. Doesn't matter how you feel
true,
about the man. He's one of those
For
iconic
sure.
true
heroes.
that.
Marvel, DC doesn't
So
matter. He's
real
out
quick,
there.
we are gonna go ahead and end this off right there. I am Batman. Where can they find you at on social media?
You can find me on TikTok.
Yeah, all
Same
right,
name.
guys. Well,
I am
thank you
Batman
so
nine one
much for
five.
listening to Crossover Comics Podcast once again. My name is Jeremy, aka JJ's Comic Stuff on TikTok and everywhere else.
My name is Michael, aka Longbox underscore entertainment on TikTok and Instagram.
And we will talk to you guys next time.
Peace
Take it easy,
out.
guys.
Bye.